Welcome back. Thanks for staying with Inside Politics. We continue with the deliberations right here, centered on the key political developments that have transpired in the course of the week. And we're just finishing up on the trip by the Deputy President abroad and some of the political pronouncements he's made. And Thumbi, you had a burning issue before we took that short break. Yes. Briefly, if you can finalize on it.
Thank you, Jesse. I just wanted to clarify three things. Number one, there's a question of which capacity did the Deputy President travel through, or whatever it is that there is. He went as the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, landed in the US in the same capacity, was received by the ambassador in the US, held governmental meetings with US state agencies in the same capacity, because if somebody is going to discuss about national security and threats to our democracy, you must discuss them at a certain capacity, and government officials will not be able to meet you. So he held meetings in that capacity, not as Kenya Kwanza principle, whatever it is. And then we have to understand that the Deputy President, as part of a principle, he is obligated in the Constitution to update the diaspora. The strength of the diaspora today, you're looking at remittances that have tripled at the end of the day, in the excess of 100+ billion in terms of remittances. And not just that, the strength of 4 million workers abroad. That is something that the government needs to focus on at the end of the day. They are contributing to our GDP, and I think we need to sit with them and discuss critical aspects, even from the strength of the human resource there. So at the end of the day, capacity or no capacity, it really doesn't matter. But he is the Deputy President. The number two, there is nowhere, and we need to not to swallow into, the flawed doctrine and propaganda of Kieleweke. There is nowhere that the Deputy President discussed about rigging. You need to play that tape so that we can see. I have sent you something in terms of what he spoke about. He was thrown a question to answer by one Samuel in an open session, in a town hall meeting in the US. And he answered in specific two ways. Number one, he called out and he said, are all presidential candidates going to agree to the election results? Because, Jesse, the problem has always been that Raila Odinga has established him as a perennial crybaby in all the elections. And that is where the issues have always emanated from. Will Raila Odinga accept the outcome of the elections that he's going to lose? That is number one, and Raila needs to answer that. Number two, the Deputy President on the same breath spoke about that democracy is premised on the strength of our independent offices, constitutional offices, at the end of the day. And he says we need to strengthen the IBC, we need to strengthen Parliament, we need to strengthen every other institution. But Jesse, can my friends focus also on everybody else within the democratic framework? Focus on the aspect of every other report and commission. From every other report and commission out of post-election violence has been because someone has debated the outcome of the elections.
Thumbi, I think that's enough
that
time.
Is critical.
Allow me to cut you short. So your points are definitely across separation of power, strength of institutions. Dismas, I'll give you 1 minute briefly. And there's a tweet right here from Ken Ambula who says there's no need to summon the DP when Sabina Chege is on record saying they will rig the elections. Oburu Odinga also once said they have the system on their side. That's why they went to the system. Answers lie.
Now, it's important for Ithumbi to realize that there is no way any Kenyan would discuss state issues if you don't have the confidence of the head of state or you don't have the authorization of the head of state. Given the nature of the relationship between the president and his deputy, it's unlikely that William Samoei Ruto will discuss state issues in Kenya, because people will be asking, are you presenting your position or are you presenting President Kenyatta's position? At the international level, what counts is President Kenyatta's position, the head of state. So if you've got a nasty relationship with your boss, then people will be rolling their eyes as you speak. Number two, Kiok has raised a very fundamental issue. That William Samoei Ruto has been a deputy president now for about 10 years. He has participated in 2 elections. Therefore, when he gets out of the water and he fears that the elections may not be free, fair, and credible, that should raise alarms at the highest level. IBC should be losing their sleep if the deputy president is casting on their aspersions to deliver a free, fair elections.
Okay.
Because if they don't do that, that's a recipe for political instability.
Well, Owila, if you could keep it brief.
No. There was an interview with the Voice of America.
Owila?
Yes, I think there are things we need to disabuse here. You know, if we are speaking about issues of national interest, it should not matter who we are supporting, you know. And I think we need to be alive to the fact that if we've had electoral issues, it is not a question of Raila refusing to agree that he lost or he won. What we expect is to a conversation around the elections that we've had, 2007, 2013, and 2017. Can we say that they've been free, fair, transparent, and verifiable?
Yes.
We can't. You see, so this idea of saying that someone refused to accept what was declared by IBC is neither here nor there. In fact, it is posturing for people who are expecting to do the same thing when they are beaten. Then number two, when you say that the whole idea of Raila coming into government was just a question of dealing with a perennial loser, and you're not looking at the germane issues that underpin the handshake and what the president and Raila Odinga have tried doing from when they shook hands to when BBI collapsed, and you don't interrogate the merits and demerits of that and where you situate yourself as a deputy president in terms of solving the same issues that you're raising, then you're actually not helping. You know, a deputy president has to be constructive in the way he articulates national issues. The book of lamentation is already big. You cannot add a chapter on Kenyan lamentation by a deputy president. I don't think it is the right thing, and I don't think anyone, whether you are supporting UDA or not, should support the deputy president
refers to more than anything else.
Going and making noise about a government that he's been part of for the last 10 years. It just doesn't
that's a good point. I think that's definitely a strong point, and allow me to cut you short on that issue, because we definitely have a different topic to canvass right now. We wouldn't want to get carried away. Now, shifting focus to perhaps the issue around timelines and the nomination process coming up, a lifeline has been offered to aspirants who lose in party primaries, and this is why the aspirants have been given a grace period of 10 days to resign from their political parties and vie as independent candidates. Let's take a look at this report that was prepared a little bit earlier on in the week.
The history of bungled party primaries that oftentimes end acrimoniously may have informed the window of opportunity opened by the registrar of political parties. The ORPP now saying candidates who may want to resign from political parties will have 10 days to do so after 22nd of April before submitting their details as independent candidates by 5th May.
Between 22nd April, when the party nomination processes are supposed to have been completed, and 2nd of May, a window of about 10 days. Is it possible for a member of a party who participated in the nomination process to resign from that party and vie as an independent?
The answer is yes. As the law is now, and the timelines thereof, those 10 days, somebody can be able to do that, because Article 38 of the Constitution allows a person the right to associate in a political party and not associate. And it will be also within timeline over the Electoral Commission has issued that those 10 days somebody can be able to jump.
Appearing before the National Assembly Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, JLAC, to give an update of the implementation of the Political Parties Amendment Act 2021, the registrar, however, said it will not be possible to defect to a political party by that time.
In the current amendment to the Elections Act, if it goes through before party primaries, then we have worked with the IBC to close that timeline.
Derito also had to clear the air on the difference between an ordinary coalition of political parties and a coalition political party as provided under the new law.
Natural persons cannot be a member of a coalition political party. The normal coalition, the way we know it, will be deposited 3 months to election. The coalition political party will be deposited 4 months to 120 days to election. The second difference is that a coalition political party can field a candidate. The third is that a coalition political party can receive political parties' fund.
This comes as it emerged that 3 petitions are still in the courts and could spell doom for the law that saw the National Assembly and Senate divided over its contents. The ORPP was also put to task to explain the safety of the e-citizen platform to register members to parties.
You'll only be registered if you consent. So silence does not mean consent.
During the grilling session, the Registrar of Political Parties distanced herself from the thorny issue of ejection of disloyal party members, saying that mandate was upon individual parties.
Personally, I wanted to resign from Jubilee. It has taken ages.
That it is the party that should be strengthened to sanction, and once it is sanctioned its own members, then the process that goes with litigation and all that, because we have seen also parties trying to do that.
Rogue members have held political parties hostage, unable to discipline them. Emmanuel Toh, KTN News, Nairobi.
Well, a lot to talk about in terms of the timelines, because it's bound to be a busy couple of months going forward. But that's the latest. IEBC has set April 22nd as the deadline for parties to conduct primaries. And while those seeking to run as independent candidates have until May 2nd to submit their documents to the commission. Let me begin with you, Kyoko. You've been silent for quite some time. So your take on this particular issue now. I know, as you mentioned during the break, that perhaps this is not a new law, and you're trying to figure out why there's so much excitement around it. But on the bigger picture, we're looking at the possibility of a fallout within these particular parties that are allied to the coalitions going forward. So is it a mirage? Is it possible to have free, fair and credible nominations within these parties? Because we are talking about, is it direct nominations on one side, consensus on the other? Is it possible to have that and avoid a fallout thereafter?
Let me first start by deconstructing a lot of issues that are being talked about. Article 85 of the Constitution says that any Kenyan is entitled to run as an independent candidate, provided he has not been a member of a political party 3 months to the August election. Now, 3 months to the election is May 9th. So these new provisions, they're saying that by April 27th, each political party must have finished its nomination. It therefore automatically creates a window. It is just there. If IEBC said nomination of political parties must be finished by 15th of April, then you have between 15th of April to 2nd or 9th of May for anybody to resign, or anybody who participated in that elections and feel violated to move on, get signatures, and become an independent. This law was there since 2010. It's not new. In 2017, this MP of Nyali participated in the ODM nominations. He was kicked out. He went and disvied Jichopevu, Nderitu of Laikipia governor, participated in the Jubilee nominations, was kicked out or was rigged, came back, vied again as an independent candidate, and he won. I know numerous people who participated in the Jubilee elections or in party elections were kicked or lost or felt they were treated, manhandled badly, and they vied as independent candidates. So the law in itself constitutionally provided. So if Parliament passed an act that violated this provision, and in the wisdom of Parliament, I don't think they touched on this timeline. They allowed it to be. That is why I keep telling you, it's not a new law. It is there. It has always been there. Secondly, which is critical is, and this is what we were saying here with Dismas, that these MPs passed this law. They amended the Elections Act, took it to Parliament. Then 2 or 1 month later, they are the ones who are grilling the Register of Political Party, asking her, what is this law all about? They should be at the forefront of educating, because by and large, when you look even at the disposition of that lady, you can see that she's also grappling to understand this thing. It did not emanate from her. It emanated from the lawmakers. From the lawmakers. They came with it in order to address the Azimio or the OCAR or the other coalition. Then they come and grill her. Thirdly, which is critical, is this issue. The Register of a Political Party is an appointee of the President through the Public Service Commission. Therefore, she is not an independent actor in dealing with political parties' realities. Secondly, that office of the Register was really empowered by the amendment that passed through. Another thing that is critical is that political parties have been told that all primaries, your members are the ones who are going to participate in the primaries. So you must register members. Yeah. You must develop a register of members. So you go to a place like Kaiti, where by and large, we might not be members of WIPA, yeah, but by and large, we feel that WIPA is our party. Or you go to Kisumu, you might not be members of ODM, but by and large, ODM. So you find an MP, Otieno, or somebody decides I'm going to register 3,000 people in a constituency of 70,000 people. These 3,000 people are the ones who are going to participate in the nomination. Therein lies a problem. Now, these things were passed very quickly. I think the reality on the ground, when it comes to implementation, they will change them. They will adapt what they have talked about, either direct nomination, which is by consensus. You like my face, you think I speak good English, I give you. They will choose areas that they think they are neutral. They will do nominations. And then there are areas that they feel truly, anybody who comes from this area must do, you know. So there's a way in which this thing is going to create a lot of confusion. And the register of political parties need to be at the front if she has the capacity and ability to be there to explain to people. Otherwise, party nominations will be another mess. So we might be kicking the can down the road. There are a couple of grey areas into it. Dismas, well, what's your take briefly?
I want to begin from where Kioka has left. That these members of the National Assembly and Senate debated a piece of legislation and passed it, yet they did not appreciate the contents. Now they are asking an outsider, the Register of Political Parties, to give them a crash program, a workshop on the implication of this piece of legislation. Now that is the irony of this National Assembly and Senate. And you even recall before they made the amendments, a number of political leaders said the members of National Assembly must look at these pieces carefully, because at the end of the day they'll come to bite them. And this is what you are seeing happening. So it actually confirms that on occasion, members of the National Assembly and Senate are no more than conveyor belts. Because how do you pass a piece of legislation, then you start asking Andy Rito what it means, yet you debated it for hours on end. That's number one. Number two, the political parties' primaries are going to be messy, they're going to be casualties, and many people are going to get diseases. People may even get lifestyle diseases as a result, because candidates have invested a fortune, resources, and emotion. Now, President Kenyatta and Raila Odinga must reassure everybody under Azimio that the party primaries are going to be free, fair, and credible. And Musalia Mudavadi and Tangula, as well as Ruto, must assure the same from Kenya Kwanza. Like, for instance, under the membership of Azimio, a number of political parties, including ODM, have indicated that party primaries where candidates go and compete under universal suffrage is going to be their plan C. That there's going to be consensus and everything is going to be data-driven. But therein lies a crisis. Who is going to come up with these data? For instance, within the ODM, there is one group which says that we are going to give direct tickets. And already people have gone to the top of Mount Kenya and Kilimanjaro and saying that we are the preferred candidates. So people are saying, if you've been a loyal, say you come from Langata, you've been a loyal member of the political party, and you want to participate in the primaries, but an axis within ODM says, no, we don't know who you are, we are going to give a direct nomination. Where does that leave members of people who want to participate in the primaries? Now, if the political party leaders do not vet these people, then there's a very high probability that we'll have people who have been compromised, who will go to the National Assembly and Senate, or indeed occupy the 1930 positions. Because part of the reason why you have party primaries is for the political party to seek to establish whether in fact you respect Chapter 6 of the Constitution, whether you respect Article 10. But if you don't go through that sieving process, then it means anybody and everybody will get a nomination. And that will be extremely dangerous. Then the third point,
briefly,
you remember what William Samoei Ruto did with the Jubilee Party primaries of last time. He ensured that he got his candidates who went into office. And there are a number of people within Azimio who are looking at the 2027 elections and they want to position their candidates now. And this one is going to disenfranchise so many party members.
So there's so much pressure on these parties to conduct free and fair nominations and also to ensure that those who lose do not bolt out. So due to interest of time, we'll just take a short break right now. as we anticipate the next segment, which is one of my favorite, Your Call. We'll get to interrogate some of your thoughts in terms of the various talking points we've highlighted right here during the show Inside Politics. The number should be projected on your screens in a few, so feel free to call and interact with us equally on social media using the hashtag Inside Politics. Stay with us.